Hello there. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. So, today is a good day to code a little bit. Yesterday we did take care of the language settings, and I just watched what, and I was really surprised how exhausted I was yesterday after 2 days of tournament. But yeah, I really felt like yesterday I was really a little bit too sleepy. And I think that didn't do much for the quality, but at least we got the task done. So today we're going to do the difficulty setting. So we have a difficulty setting already in the game. So if you are going to our global variables here, there's a difficulty setting. Yeah, this is a difficulty setting. Now it's set to 0. And if you go into the global variables, here, you can see that there is a difficulty setting here. This is the public integer for difficulty, and there's 5 different settings for difficulty. 0, which is the initial value, and we as programmers we usually start at 0. 0 is very easy. Then we have 1, easy, normal, hard, and very hard. I think that's very easy to understand. Normally we start at normal, so the initial value of the difficulty is 2. How do we ensure that the difficulty is normally 2? So there's a little script, of course, that has to initialize this value according to the difficulty that you have set. So this is the game controller, and when the game controller awakes, so at the start, when you start the game, the game controller is immediately going to ask a lot of things to the player prefs. Player prefs is where we save our data. It's a very easy to use, convenient saving function of Unity. If you don't want to use the saving prefs, you can easily write your own system. I'm doing this in another project, but in this project here we are going to use the player prefs, which have their benefits and their drawbacks. The big benefit is that we don't have to take care of different systems. So if we are exporting to an Android phone, we don't have to do anything, it will work. That's what these player prefs are for. So if you are using the player prefs, Unity will actually take care of that your values are still working. So we have this little line here, which sets the difficulty of the global variables. So what's happening here? It's getting an integer, and it asks for the key difficulty and sets the value to 2. So why? 2 is the default value. So this is what normally would happen. If you don't have saved anything, it will set it to 2 because it's the default value. If the player, however, did save any other value inside of difficulty, for example 0 for very easy, it will load 0. So this is how we are going to initialize the difficulty. It is also already done. We don't have to do this. So I think when I see this code here, I see that there's one thing that is a problem. It is going to find game object with tag global get component global variables every time. We don't want that, because if you see so much repetition, there's something wrong. So I didn't prepare anything for this, but let's get rid of this immediately. So instead of finding this game object every time, we are just going to initialize the value one time and then use this value. So this is our new variable that we will use to find the global variables, put the global variables inside. Just have to copy this line of code here one time. And now we can just put it inside of here. The reason is this here creates a call inside of Unity, And we do this a lot of times, and it's not really a big deal because we're doing this one time only, but it's still not really good code. It's just a bad habit if you don't clean this up. I see this now. This is partially old code, as I always say. So there's a lot of coding improvements, and maybe you can even learn from this. Like, hey, if you see this in another code or you doing this yourself, just fix it to yourself. So now we're going to see if there's any other functions that do this, like here. So let's just find global variables. Yeah. Now we can look up every time that we are finding these global variables, which we are not supposed to do. The awake function is also called before anything else. So we don't have to worry that this GV value is not initialized. If it's for example not initialized, we will find it out in the test later, but I think it will be initialized every time. And this especially here, this is not good. So I don't think this will even cause lag with modern PCs. Even my PCs is not gonna have any problem with doing it. And I think this is maybe why this code was still in the game. But nonetheless, I have to fix this. This cannot. This is just if somebody else would see this, and I'm definitely going to publish the code later on GitHub. Just if anybody wants to watch the stream and see what I'm coding and maybe take a look at the GitHub repository. And if he sees something like this, he will just facepalm. We don't want this. I mean, people are going to facepalm one way or the other because, as I said, it's really old code. Partially. Some code is really new, and there's definitely some parts where I think, okay, I cannot do it better right now. But in 5 years, I might come back and say, okay, now's the time. I still have to say, this is not how I do this today. Nowadays, we do like this and this. Now the 2 days of optimization are over. So nowadays you don't have to worry about how many if functions you use. That's mandatory. Now, of course, every if function, for example, creates a little bit of resource use, but it's really not it's really mandatory. So I think we cleaned it up. Now I still saw. Let's go through the code. See if this. Okay, until here we don't see anything. Now this is right. The player prefs. We can't get them any shorter. There's this code here that is trying to find the object with the object player and setting a lot of values, but it's always doing the same thing on the same character. So aside from this, this looks actually fine, and this is also very easy to fix here. Like, you have all these lines of code, and I think actually it looks pretty. Like, you have all these colors, quite artistically pleasant, but we don't need to do this. We don't need to find the player every time. Now still, these are maybe check 30, 36 calls or something. It's not going to break your game. This is mandatory, but it's also so easy to fix that I don't think that it needs to be unaddressed. So we're going to name the player character and just copy and paste this every time. And the readability of your code is going up for this. It's not bad. So, just yesterday we took care of a lot of things that were not in our current task, but code cleanup is so important, and I can just excuse myself to everybody who wants to watch this maybe and see some gameplay, but I think this is coding and programming, and coding and programming can sometimes mean that you have to spend hours and hours cleaning up code. And the good thing about this is my own code, so I don't have to get mad at somebody. You could get mad about yourself, could even get mad about other people if they write bad code, but I think you shouldn't. There's such a steep learning curve in programming. It takes years and years of honing and perfectioning your skills to become a good programmer. And I still know that there's people who can program so much faster than I can. And for the next few years, it will stay like this. Now, thankfully, I also know that I'm able to write any program that I want. It's just a matter of time, so that's convenient. So we cleaned up this code, and now the benefit is it looks a lot shorter. You can now see what we are actually doing in one code line. There would be still things that we could improve about this. It's saving up every skill choice that we picked, and the skill choices could be loaded in a list or array. But this would cause a lot of work right now. So I'll say we are skipping this, and in the to-do list, there's still one task that says clean up code. So this is going to be in the end. It's not that we won't clean up code at all, we just did, but in the end we are going to do this only, and yeah, that's a task for the last step. The only thing is, when I clean up code, I want to be a little bit more relaxed. Right now I'm worrying just to get out this patch, and we have to get going and adjust its difficulty setting. On the other side, everything I see that I can fix easily, I will. And I also don't want to pause any things that I have to clean up later. So the code that we view right now will be to our current standards of knowledge, which is always limited, but we should use that. Okay, so with these difficulty settings, and let me show you the game after it is compiling. Meanwhile, some good time for some tea. Okay, when I start the game, can show you the settings for the difficulty. It's very easy to read them out. It's just a drop-down menu. So let's go to this drop-down. And this is the drop-down for the difficulty settings. So I have a little bit of lag right now. I think it's, I'm not sure if it's my keyboard. It's like my keyboard is not working properly. That's irritating. Have to keep an eye on that. Now if we set it to slightly softer, see what happens here. Also have an unusual amount of lag on my PC right now. And part of that is because my power supply is not working correctly. I have ordered a new one, even though I didn't really like to pay that much at the end of the month, but yeah, there's no other choice. And now the package delivery service fucked that up. And they actually tried 3 times, and I was at home 2 times, and they still didn't deliver it, which is just horrible. Especially if you're a little bit bored. So, we have set this to slightly softer, which is the second hardest difficulty. And we can now check this in the global variables here. 1 is easy. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So bloodbath, let's put it to bloodbath. Bloodbath would be the hardest difficulty, very hard. And in the global variables you see here right now, the difficulty is set to 4. So what is it going to do? When these enemies here are setting themselves up, they are going to have their enemy stats, and these enemy stats are adjusting themselves according to how much you set the difficulty apart. Now, how does this work? Let's play again. Now, you saw it was still at 9,999, and health was still at 9,999. Let's look again. When we restart now here's here's 19,000 health 989, and that means his health has been doubled. But why is that? So of course we want his health to be higher on higher difficulty. Here's the code for that. It's just a simple switch. It checks for the difficulty in the variables, and then we are going to adjust the maximum health, the current health, which should be the maximum health, and his attack damage. So according to your difficulty settings, you're going to adjust. And I haven't tested out how it feels, so number might change later. But aside from this is exactly what we want to do. We don't want to do anything else except for very specific things. Like last time, no, it wasn't last time. But last week we did the peasant, and the peasant had a special function that on higher difficulty his melee attack would work differently to be harder. And in the normal difficulty, he would try to stab the player normally. So, aside from very specific settings where I say, okay, on normal difficulty, that would be too much, but I think the enemy should be challenging. If the enemy should be challenging, he should not have too much of an opening before attacks. He should attack first, and the player has to dodge the attack of the specific enemy. So I think yeah, that's the best thing to code it. We will take a look into every enemy type today and look if they can change something. So there's something else that we have to adjust now. In the old code, in the units, Well, the player, the enemy, they all have an attack damage. Now, some enemies like this crossbowman or bandit, they have one attack. And this one attack has an attacker damage. Yeah, that's normal. But there's also a lot of enemies who have multiple attacks. And right now, this is not set up very nicely. So what happens if, for example, a boss has multiple attacks? He has an attack damage, but in the current code, here you see I did not even set his attack damage, which is yeah, not that good. So when he attacks, he's going to create one of these projectiles. Black Mage, for example, he's going to don't think it's underneath. It's one of these. Is it? I don't see. No, it's not it. But they are all creating some projectiles. And these projectiles here, if you look at them, the projectile itself has an attack damage. So this is how they can have multiple attacks, and each attack will just hold the information for how much damage it does. And we will have to change that, unfortunately. Or fortunately. Because what we don't want is to go inside of every projectile now. Copy this switch and set the attack damage at the start of the lifetime of that projectile. And so maybe we will find an edge case where we actually have to do this. But we want every attack to be inside of this enemy stats and have full control over it in just one script. I don't want to go through multiple attacks and set them up individually. We could, for example, just take this, make them into a method, and every time we initialize a projectile, we are going to call this method here, and then it would just set the attack damage for projectiles. But we don't want this really. We don't really want this, because this is still going to let us generate a lot of code. And if we change anything, yeah, then we still would have a lot of work, because then we have to go into every enemy, just like we have to do right now, and change everything. And this is why this is important, what we are doing right now. So we need to really think what we want. So instead of this being an integer, I think we should make this integer an array or a list. Or let's try a directory. Now, what is the directory? String integer. Can we do this? Dictionary, sorry. Dictionary. So let's look if this works. It would be nice if we now could set list of attack damages. I don't think we can, but let's see. So we don't have a list here. Okay. So we need to set up these attack damages. How could we do this? We want it normally to have a string like melee attack, first boss attack, second boss attack, third boss attack, maybe a little bit more specific than that, but you get something that tells us what is this attack. Because if we just have a list, for example, or an integer array, we still have to look up in the list later what are we actually applying this to. So you in the end just have a list of numbers 20, 30, 40, 50, and then if you come back a year later and read it and want to fix this anyway really fast, and you read this and yeah, what are these numbers doing? Then you have to look up in the code and you have to find every line what kind of attack is this, what kind of attack is this. Just what we have to do now, which is really the wrong the wrong kind of thing. The thing that we don't want to do. So how can we fix this? We want to have a list of strings and integers and then convert them into a dictionary. So how can we do this? So there could be two ways. We could, so that this would be more convenient. We could add a script, and in this script we just have two fields: the strings for the attack names and for their damages. But I think we are very intelligent people. We can deal with this. If we just in the end make this serialized field named this here we don't have to make a serialized field. It will be a public variable anyway because we need to have access to it late. No, sorry. Sorry. This is not a public variable. Sorry. Serialized field private integer string attack name. Okay. Let's not put it under the public variables. We can just put them between public and private. And we want to do the same thing for integer attack damages. Okay, now we have to find a new name for our dictionary. I suggest okay, that's a really good name, I guess. So now we have this dictionary attacks, and it just holds the information for attack names and their damages. And it works like this. We have to search in this dictionary. We just type the name and then we get the according integer. So if we later find asked this dictionary find boss attack 1, it will return us the correspondent attack damage. So now we have to, the only thing we still have to do is to set up this variable now and to define how the difficulty is going to define its values. So first, let's get up with the dictionary. It's really easy. So first up, we have to say attacks. It's going to be a new dictionary This is mandatory. We just have to make sure that the dictionary has been initialized. Now, we want to go through the attack names and give every attack name a damage. So what I'm going to do is we're going for each. For each attack name, it's a string. We're not going for var here. Where, var, whatever. Because it's not a good coding style. We want to specify that this is a string. There's a lot of people who actually write this flexible variable name for a lot of things, and it makes your code generally much worse, because if you need the IDE later to go over this over the name of the variable, or like, for example, if I don't know what a tag names is, I don't see anything. I haven't read the first lines because I'm rushing in fast, and sometimes you have to do it, and sometimes you don't really care about what we have defined. You just want to look up a function or something, and that is fine. You don't have to read the whole code to understand it in a good code. And then I come across some of these lines, and I see more and more people do this because they are starting with Python, and many have this very unfortunate habit of using a lot of var to initialize their variables, and it is automatically going to convert it to string. Now, my IDE here tells me that this is a string, so I have to look up in the IDE. But I've also worked with IDEs that don't tell you immediately what this is. You have to go over this with your mouse and see what kind of variable this is, and this is not good code. If you need the IDE to understand your code, it's not really good code. There's maybe some exceptions, but var is not one of them. So for each attack name, we want to add them into the attacks. So what are we adding? We need a key, that is the attack name, and then we are going for attack damage. Yay! But which one do we want to pick? I. But what is I? We have to define it. It's an integer that starts at 0, and every time we go through this loop here, we're going to add 1. And we could also do this in a for loop. Yeah. I still like this one much better. For some reason, I really like for each. I really like for each for some reason. You can call me out on this. If you say I have to go for a for loop here, yeah, totally understandable. But this is not bad code, so I don't care really. Both function work similarly. Now, what could go wrong here is if you have more attack names than attack damages, then it's going to cause an error, because it will loop through this function, and when there's more attack names and attack damages, we will cause a null exception. So how are you going to avoid this? It's very easy. We are going to we cannot avoid this. We cannot avoid this, but actually we can. So if attack names dot count length is not equal to attack damages dot length, then we want to I don't want to throw an error because it would not be good in the game. And I want to debug log something. Now there could be a better way around this, but we're going to debug log at least something right here. Warning. Number of tick names is not equal to tick damages in, and then we will print out the game object dot name. Okay, so if we test this in the editor, which is the usual way of testing this will give us a warning if we set up these two variables for. So, okay, now that we have set up the dictionary has text and the corresponding damages. That's nice. Now, next thing that we want to do is to adjust the attack damages. Ooh. And I nearly did a mistake there. Yeah, I did a mistake there. So we have to get a way to adjust the attack damages before we put them into this dictionary. And we also have to think about one thing. What if we change the difficulty while playing? So right now it is like this. The difficulty, if you're changing it, it will adjust itself the next time you restart the game. Or reload the next level. And I think it might be better because there might be some exploits. So the exploit would work like this. Imagine you are playing at normal difficulty and you're setting your difficulty to 1. Now imagine there is an enemy that has let's say 2 health. Now you might say, okay, that's unrealistic, but whatever. Here's 2 health, and it's not going to convert this 2 health to max health. It's good times 0.75, and I'm not quite sure if it's going to wind up or down, but I'm quite sure that there are cases where it's going to round down. So let's say it's rounding down from 2 to 1, and now you set it from 1 to 2. The first thing is you would have to recalculate the alt max health, which is not good. Except if you would put it into a new value. but I don't. Then I would have to recode a lot, and I. Okay, let's not take that into account. We could make a new variable. Yes. But it could be that you would then come from 1, 1, and you would effectively have half the damage or health or whatever. It's not going to come to the right values. On the other side, I don't think anyone is going to abuse this, like setting the difficulty from easy to normal, just so that the enemy loses 1 health each time. Yeah, I think that would be ridiculous. Like, yeah, maybe even in a speed one, I think somebody would do this. Like, if I don't think any speed one would count if you would just change the difficulty from very hard to very easy, and then switch the difficulty until the enemy loses health. I don't think that's going to be an exploit. But the other thing is, if you switch the difficulty it would immediately change in the inside of the level. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? I think the best way around this issue is if you set the difficulty, you have to tell the player the difficulty is going to adjust the next time you reload the level. So if you die now, then the enemies will be weaker. Yep. So let's look into our substep to-do list here, which is actually not responding right now. Come on, respond. No? Okay. Let's define. I think we don't want to do this immediately, but let's define this. If difficulty is changed, inform user that it will adjust next time he restarts the level. Yeah, there's only one thing that I'm thinking about. I have a reference from the peasant when he's doing his attack, and he's choosing his attack according to the difficulty in the global variables. Now for testing, this is fine. It's really nice to just change his attack. But this would break the rule that the difficulty is adjusted every time we change the level only. So the other thing around this is if we could also go into this difficulty and the global variables, and just like we did with the language, create an on value change, an event that we can listen to. So this is on where we will change delegate. And if we assign any function to this delegate, we can actually kind of like in the listener see if something changes, and this will trigger every function that is going to listen to the difficulty. So I haven't decided yet. So so let's not argue logically. Let's not argue logically here. Sometimes logic can be distracting, because the real thing that I think is influencing me here is the feeling if the player can just change the difficulty at any time, that he actually can cheese a game. We would feel a little bit like wrong, like you start the first level and adjust the difficulty, and immediately everything is going to be easy. And on the other side, that's a little bit convenient. It's immediately changing. Changing in the middle of a boss fight, so just you can take him out in the last wave, in his last attack set much easier. That's just really how I feel. I think I have the feeling like that would be a little bit unfair to players who are playing and just set their difficulty at the start of the game, and you can change the. It would be nicer if you could change the difficulty every time you die, or at the start of the game. I think that's how I feel it would be best. So that the game asks you at the beginning what difficulty you want to set, and then you can set the difficulty again if you die. Yeah, I think that's better than what we have now. Now this is going to be more work, of course, and as we always, as I experienced again and again, everything we do is going to set up more work. And yeah, I think we will not finish this today. I'm going to stream until maybe 1 a.m. So 1 hour. It's not enough time for that. But let's define what we want to do now. First, the first step is just okay. But what do we want to do first? Just the enemies? To the options? I don't know. It doesn't matter. There's no. I don't think there's a logical argument what could be nicer. I think we should set up the. No, there is a logic. I think we should keep it like this for now, because right now we can do the testing much faster, because we can set the difficulty in the settings. And this is going to speed up the testing a little bit. And after that, we will change the setup for the user. Okay. First, set up enemy. That's to hold all difficulty changes. So this way we will keep it easy and simple to set up our scripts later. We don't want to have any changes in any other scripts, only in the enemy stats. Second, go through every enemy and adjust these changes. Also, change look for changes in enemy unit behavior according to difficulty. Then we are going to set difficulty at depth set difficulty at start, remove difficulty from normal options, which is, yeah. And there's also something that I want to change in the options that has nothing to do with the difficulty, but it's quite easy to do and will not take much time, is change language settings to drop down. Just something that could improve the UI there. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit more convenient. In a drop-down menu, you can see English, German, and maybe you could add other languages later. I'm not going to do it. I could add Latin. Yeah, Latin. Yeah, it would be great. But I mean, it couldn't even do correct voice acting in Latin. It would be really funny if I would try to speak French or Spanish or something. Like just Google Translate every line and just put them into the game. Speak them with some weird French accent. Yeah, I think that would be hilarious for a game. I mean, if I would have the time, I would actually do it just to troll people. Yeah. Hey, this game has French as a language, like real French, and just everything is just Google translated, and then I just kind of try to speak with this really bad French accent. I think that would be great. Yeah. Okay. Now stop dreaming, start programming. Well, programming is like a dream. Okay, we are not going for the route that the difficulty can be set at any time. You can reset it when you die and at the start of the game. So I think that's fair. That's a good solution. So we can be sure that every time the start function is called, actually this would be better at evac. Ooh. Yeah, let's make this an evac. If this if the evac function is called, then we're going through a lot of stuff here, and then we need a method private integer adjust attack damage difficulty, and it needs an int attack damage, and we're just going to copy this code here. And what we actually want to do is we want to return this value right here. With the other 2 lines, we don't care. We don't care about these lines. Can we do this? Yes. Now this function is still red because it's not always returning something. So how are we going to do that? Let's also rename this variable here. Old attack damage. Just to be sure that we don't overlap this value here, which is going to be removed later. In this switch case, we don't set it up anymore. But we still have this public integer attack damage here, which is the old way how we did it. We just adjusted the melee attacks there. So how are we going to adjust this? We now will then go through every attack value and set it up. And this will actually now have a switch. And also you might say, hey, we have every case covered. Why is it still not red? Is it still not satisfied? It says return statement is missing, but I have all returns. We still forgot the default value. Default. So if it's not case 0, 1, 2, 4, 3, then we want to just return something, and it expects us to cover every case, and every case means we need to have a default case here, or we could also just have to do this here. It would still, yeah, it would still count. And let's put this into as a default value here, just because this is how the compiler expects us to code this. So now what we do with this function is we create an integer here, new attack damage, and this will be taking the attack damage value inside of our function here, and this is going to be inside of our dictionary. And that's it. We have now effectively written our system how we can. Multiple attacks, name them, give every attack damage, and it will automatically adjust to difficulty. That's it. How awesome is that? So let's now look how it looks inside of the game. Yeah, Unity is waiting for us. So we've now these two attack names and attack damages. And this is also why I wanted to do it like this, not in a new script. You cannot now just open and close these with these arrows here and just write down first. I want the normal melee attack to do 55 damage. And apply this to the prefab. Do we want to name? I don't think we even need a name. Let's call this melee attack. I think this is going to be the most common name. Add this also to the prefab. Okay. Now edit the script. Not the script, the soldier script. Not the soldier. The soldier. I just removed a line that would check this check mark here as human. It's already checked in the inspector. I don't want to do this over the soldier script. Don't know why it was inside. So the soldier here, he now is still using this stats attack damage. We don't want this. So how do we get our new attack damage? Stats. Attacks. Now we want to get our information. So how do we get try get value? No. Get is it get value or default? Ooh. I think let's try it. Melee attack. Let's try this first. Okay. Now let's do this. Here's four hitboxes. This is why we have to go through multiple lines of codes here. I think that's it. Let's go for attack damage. Oh, he is also if he's attacking objects, he also was using his attack damage. Okay, now we have set up the soldier, and I think we are ready to test it. So let's put this soldier over here. Get over here. And let's play. Now, I'm not sure what difficulty we did set. I think we set it too hard. Too very hard. So let's go over here. There's definitely some bug with my input here. Let's see how much damage he does. 100. So he now does 110 damage on hard difficulty, very hard difficulty. So that's it. That's actually working immediately. Oh, what the fuck is? Sorry. What is this? Okay. Some really strange things going on here. Maybe I did fall asleep one time and push these lines around. I don't know. Okay. Now we can start to get into our subset to-do list and we can cross out the first task. The enemy stats. Sorry, I'm on my cable. Okay. Put this behind me. Look, this cable is not on the ground. Okay. So the enemy stats are now finished. That's it. We have tested it. It's working. I don't see any logic problem. The only thing that we have to keep in mind is to let's hit it true. Delete this. And we will delete this line here. So we left it to do there just in case that we actually forget to delete this line. This is still going to hold the old information for some enemies so that we don't have to look up make up every value now. So the old values are actually a little bit balanced around some testing, and we don't want to lose the information that are inside of these attack damages. So we want to keep them for now and delete them when we are through with every enemy. So now we are in the soldier, and now we have to think, do we want to adjust? Let's look at him. Do we want to adjust something with the difficulty? And I think about him, he's very annoying. He's very annoying. I'm going to use my gamepad right now because gamepad usually sometimes Unity has this weird input lag. I'm going to show you something. Sometimes the soldier can be very intelligent. You see this? Oops. Now he's doing a check after he put away his shield. He's doing another check if the player is still there. If the player is still there, then he's going to attack. If not, he's going to shield himself again. So this is really something that I did to a little bit troll the player and make the game a little bit more fun. Let's put this behavior to harder difficulty because I think it's nice, but for the average player, it might be too hard. The second thing that we want to do is in the harder difficulty, we want this soldier to be faster. And maybe on the hardest, easiest difficulty, we want him to be really slow. So let's adjust that. So first we want to find where the code is for the shield. Okay, let's go look into this coroutine right here. This is the shielding coroutine, and here it is saying if you're removing your shield, then after the animation has finished, you're going to attack if the player is there, else you're going into idle. But we can now just also add, do we have a, oh no, we don't have a reference to the global variables, so let's do that. Now these are really old. It's an old script, but let's nonetheless add global variables. Copy this code right here because I've forgotten how which kind of finding function we are using for it. Now let's go into this line here and say if if the player is there and the difficulty is higher or equal to 3, which would be hard difficulty, very hard difficulty. Now, this would mean that at higher difficulty, both of these have to be 2. Now at lower difficulty, or we always want to do this. We always want to attack in lower difficulty. So, or GV difficulty is lower or equal to 2. Let's also write a comment because this is not very clear. If harder difficulty, check if shield yourself again if player is not in front. So why would we want to shield ourselves again if the player is not in front? Because the player tries to bait us. So this enemy type is a little bit intelligent here. Then you should attack, and else we're setting him into idle. Why are we not shielding ourselves again? It's because if the player is behind you, you want him to turn around first. And this is why idle is better. In the idle state, he will check in every update what is the next best thing to do. Now let's look at this here. Doesn't use an update function. This is not right. Let's do this. And it's going to hit in with every fixed update. Let's check his. You should check his step before he's doing his hit checks. That's right. This also belongs into the. No, this here belongs into the update function. It's checking if there's some. Oh, it actually would be nice in both functions. So this is an exception. So he's trying to destroy projectiles that the player is tossing at him. I'm not too happy about that code, though. Let's look up if his shield has a script. Now his shield, when he's putting his shield in front of him, the shield has its own collider, and that collider is going to trigger if anything hits it. So I think it's this. Oh, it's disabled. Okay. So what's this doing? It's a trigger. Okay. So where's the trigger catched? Is it catched inside of the script? On trigger enter. If it's a blunt projectile, what? So let's see if the what? Is there even a tech? What? So this should be named projectile. Yeah. Sorry. And then he's going to destroy it. So I have no idea why it was named blunt projectile. It's interesting that this line of code actually seems to work. So he's using multiple ways to try to detect projectiles. Not too sure this is good. I'm not going to fix this now. This is going to be code cleanup. We are here for the difficulty. Let's concentrate on the difficulty now. So in higher difficulty, we could also do that is shielding and unshielding is going to be faster. But we would have to adjust the speed of his animation. So let's do this. Let's Google Unity change animation speed. I think that's relatively oh, we just did this in the health UI. I don't need to look it up. It's in the health UI. So where's the health UI? I'm just going to search for it. Health UI. Can you find this, please? Yes, there's plenty of health UI. Yeah. Oh, okay, thank you. And the health UI, we did this. So where is it? Yeah. We can set a float. Yes. This is how you change it. Okay. So let's write first. If gd.difficulty greater or equal to 3, then set this float, set of the animator, shielding speed to 2. So he's going to do this faster. And we want to wait in both cases. But if the difficulty is higher, we want to wait for a little bit less time. Let's copy this code. And this time, just for this waiting function here, and we want the soldier to be really fast with his attack until he starts his attack in harder difficulty. And so now in harder difficulty, he will attack after 0.25 seconds, which is the human reaction time, so still fair and dodgeable. So we are not scamming the player or trying to make this impossible, but we still want it to be challenging. This is why we want to adjust difficulty at all. And on lower difficulty, even the player will have 0.5 seconds, which is fine. That's what we normally would expect from the game. Okay. Now we could test this out, but we still have to set a float right here. Now let's go to the soldier and look into his animations. This is a really easy setup and also very convenient because we don't want to think too much about the soldier. What we now want to do is to add a parameter. It's going to be a float, and this will be his shielding speed. How fast do you want to shield yourself? And his default value will be 1. Let's copy this name right here, and we will set this multiplier to shielding speed. Now we can set up these animations right here, which is shielding and unshielding. And now let's copy the name. Okay, we have used the same name here. Now in higher difficulty, he will attack much faster. In lower difficulty, he will attack slower. Now let's adjust this also for his shielding animation, and we're done. So here we have this animator. Let's copy our code from here. And conveniently, this is 0.3 seconds, so we don't have to change anything, and we're done. So one thing that we can still adjust is going to set the animator speed every time to 2 that he's shielding or unshielding. And we could put this into the start function so that he's going to adjust himself when we start. But I don't want this here. I think it's much easier to read. This call here, this is creating a call inside of Unity. It's not going to to take much resources. This is only one in a few seconds. One time in a few seconds, and this is mandatory work for the processor. So in this case, we are going to favor our code readability. So you want to read the code much easier, and let it be like this. Or you can read it a little bit better like this, and see immediately that the shielding speed has been increased by 2. If you would put this into the start function and then read this, then we would have to guess that this and shielding animations have been set somewhere and search for it if you want to change it later. So this makes it a little bit more convenient to read later, which we also have to take into account. And the last thing that we want to adjust with him is his speed. So when we have a higher difficulty, he should be faster, and on lower, he should be lower. Yeah, that rhymes. Let's do it. So this is really easy. Here's his followed speed here. And let's just straight up copy the code from the global, from the enemy stats. This right here, this switch, and go into the soldier, copy all this code. Now all of this is red because this is not the speed, this is what we copied. Let's take this out. And now for very easy difficulty, speed. And how much do we want to decrease the speed? I would say let's not go for too high value. Speed is going to be equal to times 0.8 f. Okay, it's not working. I think it's like this. Okay. So S2 is 0.9. S3 is normal difficulty, so we stay. Then on Libertada 1 to 5, and on 4 hard brutal difficulty is going to be brutally fast. So we have to maybe later adjust these values, but at least we are now done with him. Now, why do we change so much of this unit? Isn't it going to take forever? Yeah, just like I said, we are not going to be finished today with this difficulty settings, but the soldier is really one of the most common enemies. So you want this. The most common guys will have a lot of adjustment to the difficulty. Now, this is maybe the most that we will do for any enemy. There will be some guys where we won't change anything. So let's go for it. Okay, it's very fast. And oh, my controller is resting here. That's why I'm always pointing up, I guess. My character controls are a little bit bugged right now. But I think this is the hardest difficulty, and he's not that fast actually. Like, yeah, I can still run away from him. He's roughly the same speed as the player. he's attacking really fast. Okay. I think it's really hard to bite him now in melee. And yeah. But aside from that, yeah, that's what hard difficulty says. And if you take normal difficulty, let's try it again in normal difficulty. So let's start the game. The options and go for the regular difficulty. Okay, we have an error right here, which is not good. So, okay. This is an object reference. Ah, okay. So we have a lot of checks here. When we unpause. And it checks if we have any dialogue active. And it's going to say the user control, the input is blocked. If we are, for example, in a dialogue right now, and if we pause and unpause the game, the game still has to work, and we are not going to give the player back his input when he's in a dialogue. So how do we do this? No, we cannot just ask if it's null. So this might be null. No, this is always initialized. This is sometimes null. But it's checking if it's null. That's correct. Is it really this line? 400, 400, and 243. Yeah, it's this line here. So maybe it didn't find the dialogue manager. Is it correct? No. It should, if it would not have the dialogue manager, it would have caused an error when I paused the game already. So this is not null. Dialogue choice manager though. Sometimes this is null. Okay, we have to check if the dialogue choice manager is not null. So no, if dialogue choice manager is null, and only if it's null, that's a little bit inconvenient. Only if it is null, we can make the second check on the dialogue choice manager. No. No, that's not right. How do we write this? Let's ask C# only check variable if not null. So this is the standard way. And you can use the is keyword. Okay, let's leave it out here. And just ask if it is null, else if so if it's not null, then we can ask if a dialog chess is active right now. Okay, if it's null, we are going to put this to false, and if it's not null, we are going to ask if a dialog choice is active. Okay. This should fix this bug. Now let's try again. Okay. We wanted to set the difficulty. So now let's set the difficulty to really, really easy. So we are going to set the difficulty to don't hurt me. The bug is gone. And he's a little bit slower. I think we can slow him down a little bit more. But now I also have plenty of time to bite him. Yeah, I think that's okay. So let's make a last adjustment to his speed on lower difficulty and put this to 0. Oh, this wasn't his adjusted speed. This is only set up when we restart the game. Yeah. So let's test this again with 0.8. This was not his adjusted speed. He's only adjusting his speed when we restart the scene. So now we see his lowest speed. Yeah, I think that's slow enough. If we are going for a slower speed, there might be a risk that he's not going to cross these paths here. No, he's very stupid now. Okay. So on lower difficulty, he kind of is a little bit too dumb. We could ask why was he attacking that wall there? Aside from that, I don't want to do anything now. Oh. So now if he's not shielding, if he's unshielding, he's always going to attack after that. And that is going to be a problem, even on lower difficulty, if we want to have him jump up any cliffs. So let's check if he's not next to a cliff. It's kind of hard. Let's see, there's a jump, and let's see where it is used. So he's going to jump over certain enemies, those who are with the range. I think the range stat, yeah. If he's coming across an enemy like a crossbowman and he's ranged, he's going to jump over him. And then this function right here, that's what we want. This raycast is all of this. This is asking, is there a wall in front of you? And if there's a wall, then jump. Okay, and if we are unshielding, we want to check if there's a wall in front of you. because else he's always going to unshield and then attack, even if there's a wall in front of him. And this is a little bit too stupid, even for lower difficulty. I don't think that's a good idea. So how do we do this? This asks for a lot. Okay, we're just going to copy this whole if function here. This is a condition for when he should jump or not. And when he's unshielding, we are going to add this to the code. So first let's just add this right here. Now this is going to call an error. We need to add this at this part of the code. So how we do this? I'm going to add an AND. And we're going to just copy everything in the brackets here, remove the rest. Say if not, yeah, if lower difficulty and there's no obstacle close to you. Now I'm not sure if we should do this for both difficulties. Let's keep it like this. Let's test it out if he now jumps over that cliff right there, and then we are finished with the soldier. Because we have also to keep in mind, if we do this with enemy that much of time, it's going to be a little bit too much. So let's see if he now jumps over this cliff here. Okay, yeah, now he's jumping. Okay, we actually were not inside of his sight. He's trying to jump a little bit. It's still a little stupid, but not too stupid that you can fool around with him. Okay, that's the soldier. One guy. Oh, that so many. So as I said, we have still a lot of units left that we have to adjust, and most of them will not have not these kind of changes. So let's just start with the first one. This is an eagle. An eagle is quite easy. That's an eagle that's flying around and he doesn't do any damage. But if you come close to him, he's going to instantiate a wind attack that is going to blow you away a little bit. The only thing that we might change about him is his aggressiveness. So here's a cooldown here. Let's change the name to cooldown. Wing attack cooldown. Okay. Let's go inside of the function. And let's adjust the difficulty right here. And then we're done with this guy. It's a little eagle. Get in a switch, and you have to also have a reference to the difficulty. Which we need to initialize. Let's see, there's a lot of red stuff. Let's get rid of this. And we also need to define a default here. Okay, so this default was wait for 5 seconds. Okay, let's just straight up create a float. Cooldown time, and that's going to be 5. And actually not. let's remove the switch. I have a better idea. So we are going to wait for the cooldown time. And the cooldown time is going to be adjusted according to difficulty. So how could we do this? The normal difficulty is 2. Very easy is 0. Easy 1. Hard is 4. So I have an idea. I have a really cool idea. Let's just say cooldown time is equal to itself minus GV difficulty. So add lower difficulty. Very easy. It's not going to subtract anything. It's going to be 5 then. Let's start at 7 then. So normal difficulty would be 5 seconds. Hard difficulty would be 4 seconds. Very hard difficulty would be 3 seconds. Okay, now he's a little bit more aggressive at higher difficulty. We're done. Okay, next guy. This is the noble. This is a noble. And let's define new attacks. Now this is why I made this into a list. Because he has multiple attacks. His first attack is a glass throw. The second attack is a pistol shot. And the glass throw is going to do 20 damage. The pistol shot is actually a very strong attack which does 100 damage. Now, his old script has an attack damage here and an attack damage of the glass defined inside of the character. Oh, the pistol shot is actually doing 200 damage. Wow, that's a lot. So this is really high. Let's put this to 150. And in the higher difficulties, this is going to be 300 damage, and 300 damage is going to be nearly one-shotting every player. So he's going to be strong. Okay. Now There's an unused code marked here that we don't need actually then. If you don't use it, yeah, should we only initialize this, but we never stopped it, so we don't need this coroutine. So the IDE is telling me the right thing right there. Now let's go and adjust his attack damages according to our new coding style. So how do we do this? It's quite easy. First, when he forces glass, let's just straight up search for attack damage and see how we can adjust it. So he's going to adjust the attack damage of the glass prefab. That's not good. We don't want it to be in the prefab, because this could create infinite loops of where he would set the attack damage lower and lower and lower every time. We don't want this to be in here. We are going to do this after he instantiates it. So like this, here in this child, he's going to set the attack damage of this bullet to his stats attack damage. Now we don't want to use the attack damage anymore. We want to use attacks. And then can we do it like this? No, we can't. We can't. Try to get value. No. Well, what's the called get type? This one. Get value or default. And what did I name it? Glass throw, I guess. Glass throw. Yeah. Oh, it's glass throw in English with 2S. Okay, we have to correct that. So now when he throws a glass, he's going to instantiate a game object and immediately sets the damage of that instantiated game object. So here's the attack damage of the glass is 40. Let's put it to 30. Oh, okay, I think I would be a little bit less for the higher damage difficulty. Yeah, 40 is fine. 40 is fine. So glass throw is the 2S. Okay, now let's search for more attack damage. No, okay. So attack damage glass, we don't need that anymore. Now let's see where, oh, we actually need it. No, we don't. Now let's see where he is going to instantiate his glass. Oh, pistol shot. That's a pistol shot. Oops. Pistol shot. Okay. Now we can just copy the whole line. Let's find where he's instantiated this glass. Glass idle, glass spawn, glass. Yeah. Now after he instantiates the glass, we want to immediately of this glass get the glass control, set the attack damage to glass roll. Okay, So we could call it a day and say, yeah, that's nice, be done. But there's more to this guy. So this is a really interesting character, I think. He's shooting our main character, and then we are going to have a nice, really big smoke effect. And the smoke is set up so that it really stays like 5 seconds in the game. And you cannot see anything. You cannot see the enemy who attacked you. So he's like a smoke screen, and it's really annoying for the player. So let's not do this at lower difficulty. At lower difficulty, we really have to change something. So equip pistol. So let's look for his timings. I think his timings are very long. Yeah, let's look into this load pistol timing function. And I think he's just taking forever to load his pistol. Yeah, he's taking like you see he's circling like all of these functions right here. And then he's taking now. Let's calculate how long he takes to reload his pistol. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. Yeah. 11 seconds. So he's taking about, yeah, I've rounded a little bit. I think he's taking 11.5 seconds. So for higher difficulty, that is too long. That is too long for higher difficulties. Let me think for a moment. Do I want him at higher difficulties to not be reloading that long? Or do I just want to set up the smoke screen so at higher difficulties it stays like this, but the smoke screen is just staying longer? I think 11 seconds is still too long for the higher difficulties. So let's do just a little bit of this. So let's look at the highest, just at the highest values here. This one and this one, and adjust their float. Float. Load reloading speed is let's start with 2. Let's give him in global variable. This is going to be set up in this start function. Okay. Now we can change his reloading speed. So we want this to be 2 at normal difficulty, I guess. I think even at normal difficulty this is a little bit small. Let's Maybe put this to 0.5 and say reloading speed minus gv.difficulty times 0.5 f, and think about it a second. So at lowest difficulty, this is going to be 2.5. Then at easy, it's going to be 2. At normal, it's 1.5. At hard, it's 1 second. Very hard, it's 0.5 seconds. So yeah, this is much faster. I think we can go for it. I just set it to calculate that at very hard it's not going to be 0. And let's also do this here. But here it was 4 seconds. Let's put this to 6 maybe. So 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Let's start at step 5 then. So instead of 2 seconds, he's going to be reloading for 0.5 seconds here, and instead of 4, 1. So he's reloading a total of 4.5 seconds faster. It's not much actually. And after that, we are only going to wait. Let's also say here, this one only wait for this long if the difficulty is lower than difficulty slower equal to 3. So at hard difficulty and very hard difficulty, it's going to skip another second here. It's going to get up the pistol. Oh no. Now we need to wait a little bit. Let's look how long this animation is. As I said, it's going to be a lot of work. And actually, it's 1 AM and we're going to stop at this guy already. Now, I did not start early today, so I guess that happens. But we didn't do as much work today as I would have liked to. But shit happens. Oh no, I have a bug right now. Sometimes Unity doesn't display anything inside of the animator. That's unfortunately. It's unfortunate. Oh, yeah, I can't see anything. Yeah, there's also a null exception. Let's try to reload the scene. Maybe this will fix something. Go to this text level. Okay. Let's close the tab and reopen the window. Now it's working. Okay. Good. We don't have to restart Unity. So you see how many reload animations he has, but we only care about stand up the pistol right now. How long is this going to take? 0.83. Okay. So else Let's just wait for 0.25 seconds. So we skip a little bit more of time. And this is just really important for the difficulty right here. So we did that now that he is actually, I think these are timed wait for seconds. So we can't just wait that long. And these two here, this is a loop, and this is a loop. That means it doesn't matter how long we wait, it's a loop. No, this is a loop. Reload 4 and 6 are loops. It's when he's cleaning his gun before he puts a bullet inside of it. So according to the difficulty, he's reloading his gun slower and faster now. And okay, now let's see. So he also has an aim function where he is randomly waiting for 2.5 seconds to 3 seconds. Let's change this. This is the last change we will make on this character script, fortunately. So let's create 2 new floats. Load minimum waiting time, minimum aim time. Aim time is going to be let's say 4, and another one which is going to be maximum, going to be 4.5. And as usually, we are going to adjust these values according to the difficulty. Okay, let's think for that in a moment. So I've now put it like this. No, that's not enough. Like this. Okay, that would be okay. So now at very easy, we would wait 3.5 seconds. At easy, it's 3. Normal 2.5. Hard 1.5. Very hard 1 second. I think we should go lower. Should be 0.5 seconds in hard difficulty. So let's go lower for his aiming time. Yep. Now it's minimum waiting time in oh, let's even go lower. Let's even go lower with this. Now his minimum waiting time in high difficulty will be 0.25 seconds to 0.75 seconds. And now we need to set values inside of this. And we're done. Let's test it out. Now we are going to test the eagle and the noble. So what's our best plan? We're going to, so first let's drag this soldier to another place. Get away. Now let's put in the eagle, put in the noble. I think the noble has a setting if we should start with a glass or a pistol. Okay, he's going to start with the glass. We are on easy difficulty. Oh, I forgot something. The noble has this little smoke effect here. This one. And we have to set the duration of this, the lifetime of this differently. Now, as you see, the lifetime of this is 15 seconds. This is really long. So let's drag this into the game and play. Can you please be at this position? Thank you. So let's see. If he shoots, it's going to play like this. See? And then you can't see anything. And this is actually a feature. Now we want to change this. So at lower difficulty, we don't want everything to be blocked. So let's change it to 2. And now think about it. Maybe increase the lifetime 2 at a value of 2 per difficulty or per 1. So the highest would be 4. I actually think the maximum lifetime of this should be 8. Because we also will decrease the reloading speed. So let's put this to 4. Apply this to the smoke effect. It's going to wait for this long in the lower difficulty now. And in the higher difficulty, we want this effect to be longer, so it is harder to fight. Yeah, it's still fair, but it's really inconvenient because for some seconds you just don't see anything. So inside of the script, let's look for the smoke. Nope. How is it named? Inside of the noble. Shot effect. Yeah, it's a weird name for smoke. Shot effect. But it's not. It's not wrong. So. Oh. Team object. Now we need to reference the instance that we create. Let's call this smoke child. And we don't want the smoke to have a component on it. So that sets the duration of the smoke. We want to do this inside of the script here. So get component, particle system dot, I think it's main lifetime. What's this? Ooh. Start lifetime equal to, can we set it? Yeah. No, we can't, damn it. It's a min-max curve. Ooh. Or is this a render, actually? Let's look it up. Google will tell us the way. Unity set particle system lifetime. Okay, this is obsolete. So we shouldn't use this. If this is obsolete, remaining lifetime. Okay. So let's try that again. Particle. Oh, it get particles, yeah. We don't want to get particles. It would be nice if we could set the lifetime before we play the effect. So I have an idea. Let's instead make it like this. Main start lifetime is a new min-max curve, and now we have to set up this min-max curve. And what is this? Main returns a cannot modify struct member when access struct is not classified as a variable. Okay, we cannot do this. Because we cannot accept the main system. Main module start lifetime. Oof. Total lifetime in seconds that each new particle has. This value is set on the particle and the particle system creates it. Assign a value of float. Positive infinity to particles to prevent the particle system from destroying them. This gives the particles an infinite lifespan. Also see min-max curve. We have a lifetime reference. Unfortunately not. So how do we do a min-max curve? Like this. Okay, let's just set a constant value. Can we do that? Yes, we can. Now we have to access the particle system according to this documentation. Like this. You have to create this instance of the main, which I don't really like. But whatever. So we set it up like this. Yeah. Okay, this is really weird. Okay. Load smoke time. Smoke lifetime. No. It's equal to shot effect. No, don't do this. Yeah, shot effect dot get component particle system dot lifetime. Main. What? Okay. Main life start lifetime. Okay, now this is returning a min-max curve, and we don't know, it doesn't tell it's going to be a float, but we just know this. So let's try to convert this into a float. Oh, it can't. Okay. So let's Google Unity convert min-max curve to float. Okay, and actually there's a function. Can we call this evaluate? I think we can do it like this. Okay. Now we have wet the smoke lifetime, and we have to adjust it now. So it's 4. And we want to add difficulty on top of that. And then we want to set the lifetime to a new constant. And then we want to play the effect. So let's get the particle system again for the last time. Dot play, please. Okay. This concludes our work on the smoke effect. I think this is not going to work. I think some value will be different than we expected to. We can still test it out. So the only thing that we have to change now is there 2 errors. Okay, one it was throwing an error when the animator was not showing the graphs. So the only thing that we have to change now is we have this lifetime here, but we don't want this to play on the wake. This is going to be played via script. Now why don't we want play on the wake? The script is going to change the lifetime first. Imagine the shot smoke effect is instantiated, and then it's immediately playing and setting the lifetime of its particles to 4 seconds. After that, the script is going to change this to 8, and it wouldn't do anything because the particle system has already emitted its particles, and the particles have their own values and are now set to 4. So we need to set this to 8 first and then play via the script, not on awake. And awake is called when the shot effect is instantiated, so there's no way around it. But on the other side, we can just say, please play now, the script. After we changed some values and we're fine. So now the eagle should take his time until he's going for another whirlwind. Yeah, he's taking his time. So let's see. Null exception. Okay, this doesn't matter. So now he should take his sweet time until he's reloading his pistol. Take his sweet time aiming. And he did a lot of damage. Now we did not see a smoke effect. That's unfortunately why. I think it didn't play. We can hit play there. Oh, he doesn't have a parent, yeah. So normally I put him inside of this, and now he's going to look for a parent. Oops. So, okay. This should be fixed by that. Now let's see. Why did his shot effect not play? So we did see that it can play. Oh yeah, because we have to actually reference the child, not the prefab. Okay, now this is going to work now, 100%. I should have gotten hit by the glass, by the way, just to see how much damage it does. One, 2, 3. I think it was 4 seconds. And he's taking his sweet time. We can set the difficulty to hard now. Okay. Okay, nice. Now we have set the difficulty to highest. Let's try again and let's see if this is going to be more difficult. And we can see the eagle is making more attacks. The noble is attacking much faster, so it might last longer. Yeah, that's working. The only thing that did not work, I think I did not set the bullet control attack damage right, so that was weird. So we did 75 damage. Yeah, we did 75 damage with this bullet shot. That's not correct. We should do way more damage than that. So let's see what this bullet says. Come on, show me the bullet. There's also 200 damage inside of the script here. Let's see what this does. as an attack damage. Yeah, and it's going to apply to the character. Let's check it again and see if I'm not mistaken. But the bullet should now do 300 damage, and I think it only did 75. Let's check it again. This also should do more damage. 20 damage now. Which is also not correct. This is 75 damage. What? How can this not work? But it did work in the soldier. Let's hit play and use the debug mode to look inside of the character script. Here we're going to debug. And here inside of the character, the enemy stats, we might be able to see the attack damages. No, we can't see the dictionary at least. So let's read this. I'm going to fix this before I go to bed. So this is the last thing I want to fix. This is correct. What? Yeah, it's taking the child. It was just instantiated, setting the attack damage to the according value. Yeah. Let's look if we hit play. What the values are set to. So we can now go to this position right here. Press pause. And now I'm going to look at this glass right here. Where's the glass? Come on. Yeah. And we can look up the attack damage. It's set to 20. Let's look into the global variables and see the difficulty. It's 4. So, It's like the difficulty is set to 0. So the problem is the difficulty might be changed. Yeah, it is. The difficulty is changed before after we awake, the difficulty is changed, I guess. That's why it's setting itself to 0. And if we would do this at the start function, it would be a little bit nicer. And this needs to be at the wake. So one way around this would be first let's make this let's make this sure. So let's see what happens now. So in the console, we see that some scripts say difficulty 0 and some say difficulty 4. Okay. So what's happening right there is when sometimes the global variables are already set up and set to 4, but it's not done immediately. When we start the game controller is going to instantiate the difficulty value inside the global variables. And that means we have to wait for it to set itself up, and then we need to change the enemy stats. But in the current system, we don't have any control about the order that the stats are going to be set up. So we are changing that. So we need to be sure first the global variables are going the game controller first is going to set up the global variables. Let's see where it does it. Here, I think. Yeah, this line of code. This is going to set up the global variable. It on awake? Yes, it's on awake. So then, after the difficulty has been set up, do we want to do anything here? No. So we're done here. No, we're not. Oh, damn. And no, we can do this in the game controller very easily. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to specify in the game controller First, set up the difficulty. Let's put the difficulty for readability to the bottom. Okay, then we want a function in the global variables, public void get enemy stats. And oof. I know something. Yeah. So we also need the boolean. Let's make a new boolean. Just public bool is that is loaded. This is going to come in later. So first we want to get every enemy stats. How are we going to do that? This is easy. Okay. So let's rename this to set up enemy stats. Now we want to get all the enemy stats and trigger a function there, which is going to be called set up difficulty public void set up difficulty. And we are going to just like that get a value difficulty. And this is going to have all the code that corresponds to the difficulty. So this, all of this. Now we don't need any reference inside of this to the global variables. So do we need the global variables at all? I don't think so. Can get rid of them. Let's see what kind of errors come up. Okay, we need global variables. Never mind. Never mind. Let's also here add an integer difficulty. And here let's not reference the global variables. And this way we don't have to think about if this script already has set itself up or not. Okay, and that's it. Now we want in the global variables to have for each, which I always like, in enemies, for each enemy stats enemy. In enemies, we want to enemy dot set up difficulty. Okay. Is this going to work? Yes. It's going to work. Ooh. IT is empty. Nearly empty. Now let's just straight up test this if this is going to work first time. Yeah, okay, works. Cheers! Yeah! Mmm! Okay. Value cannot be null. Okay, this is null because it has not been set up. Okay. So there's an error. Hmm. Mhm. Oh yeah, we don't call this function here. So gv dot setup enemy stats. Okay, we never did set up the enemy stats. We specifically had to tell the global variables. Now, we still have one thing to do. In the enemy setup, we need to have a private bool is set up. Difficulty is set up. And in the awake function, we have to if to specifically ask if the difficulty has been set up, and then we would get the difficulty on the gv dot difficulty. Actually, I forgot to reinsert this line of code here. So why do we still set up this in the awake function? So the problem is that we can spawn in enemies, and when an enemy spawns in, this is not going to be called. Yeah. So if an enemy, we want to be able to do both. First, we have to call this at the start of the game, but we also have to call this if the game spawns in a character. Now we don't have any control over if the enemy stats are awaked before or after the global variables. But we can ask if the GV is loaded. Yeah. So if the GV is loaded, it will already have set this to true. If it is not loaded, we also have to now it's not setting up the enemy stats, it's just set up enemy any difficulty right now. Let's rename it for now. And also difficulty is set up. That's a little bit more self-explanatory. Now this will make sure that in every case we have set up the difficulty correctly. We don't have to think about that ever again. Now let's try to test this again and see if there's any problem left. There shouldn't be any problem. But let's see. Okay, it's starting. Okay, this time. Oh, I forgot to get hit by the glass to check the damage. Okay, that was the correct damage. It's very good. And he's immediately standing up. That's nice. Let's see how much damage these guys do. Okay, oh, doesn't matter. What the? Okay, the peasant attacked me there. That was wrong. Interesting. Yeah, I guess I did something wrong here. Let's see into every hit. Yeah, every time he hits makes a hit effect. We saw that in the character. So if the difficulty is bigger equals 0, Now that looks to be set up correctly. Let's test it again. I will run into the peasant and see if I get damaged immediately. Yeah. Let's see why. So the peasant is here. Let's look into his childs. Okay, they're all at the right position. He's still damaging us. I know that he's damaging us because this hit effect is only used by the peasant. So the most likely line for this is this one. I don't see any problem. That's an easy way to find out. Let's swap out this instantiate. And now let's look if the damage effect is always instantiated at the peasant. Because as it's like now, it would be really, really interesting for the player. Yeah, now the effect is instantiated next to the peasant, which means this line here was triggered. So how did this if function go wrong? It has a radius of 0.3 at the damager shake position. So this is most likely going to be true. It's only going to be activated if he's doing his top attack. Nonetheless, this radius is way too small for us to be detected. But I guess we didn't set up the layer mask. Let's see references to the layer mask. Yeah, it's like this. Okay. Now this should 100% work and I can go to bed. As I said, I want to go to bed to 1 AM and in certain countries it is 1 AM soon. So I guess I'm just in time. Yeah, now it's working correctly. The soldier is doing his high damage. Let's test on low difficulty. Okay, let's restart. And if this works now, it will conclude our coding session for today. 20 damage, that's right. Now we should get 75 damage. Okay, and the soldier should do not much damage. Okay, to think what is this? What is this attack damage? 55, yeah. Okay. So this concludes our coding session for today. We still have much to do, but we've now at least taken care of all the quirks and everything that could go wrong with the difficulty setup. And the next units that we are going to set up are going to be a little bit faster because we now can't do that much wrong. At least we won't have any problems with initiating the right values. Tomorrow I'm going to stream a little bit sooner. I guess it will be around 8 PM. Don't know when I'm going to be finished with my workout, and I want maybe to clean my yeah, my kitchen a little bit. So I don't know how long this will take, but I guess it will more be likely to be 9 p.m. But I really want to hurry up tomorrow. Okay, so thank you for following so far and for watching, for everybody who's still watching, and good night. See you around.